Welcome to a special bonus edition of Beyond the Arc. I'm John Gonzalez alongside our NBA insider, Bill Reiter. Bill, we just got done watching the Lakers beat the Mavs 107-99 in the Luka revenge game. Where do you want to start? With him shooting daggers at the bench, with Nico being there? Like,
That's awesome.
There's so much that happened tonight.
Yeah, your guy, JJ Redick, we just had this talk on HQ, Coach of the Year. I stand corrected. I love that question Joe Musso asked.
As I mentioned on HQ, it's amazing how much smarter you look when you have Luka and LeBron side by side. The Lakers, in JJ's defense, were playing good basketball before Luka showed up. But, man, that combination of those two dudes on the floor together and you made a really smart point on HQ, the easy looks that LeBron is now getting rather than giving them to other people, and the energy that he can save because Luka is just doing the things that otherwise LeBron always had to do. Now you've got like two Lukas or two LeBrons out there. It's ridiculous.
So every time that the Lakers play now, my sort of believability, the percentage chance I think they can make the NBA Finals increases by 5 to 9 percentage points. Because LeBron was so good in that fourth quarter, and he was also really, I thought, good defensively. And he elevated, and he looked younger. All of the ways that Luka makes this team better, I guess, were always going to be obvious. The ways that he makes LeBron's life easier and therefore maybe more dangerous later in games and maybe later in this season, I'm in on the Lakers, man.
Sometimes, you know what? I'm trying to slow myself on that because normally I'm doing what you do. I'm like the last thing that I saw, I'm the dog with the tennis ball. You throw it and I will chase it across the room. And right now I'm trying not to chase the Lakers across the room to believe that they are, potentially a Western Conference contender. I mean, they are a contender. Whether or not they can get out of the West is something else. This whole thing tonight was always going to be a show, Bill. So as I mentioned, Mark Cuban was there. There were Mavs. I was shocked that Nico Harrison was there. There were Mavs fans pregame standing behind Nico Harrison with signs. One of them, so for people who don't know, they put up a statue of Dirk Nowitzki outside the arena in Dallas, and it said, "Loyalty never fades away." There was a Mavs fan in a Luka jersey standing behind Nico Harrison with that saying, "Loyalty never fades away," with the never crossed out. And I'm like, and Lakers fans were chanting, "Thank you, Nico." What a night.
And Luka showed up, and I guess Nike gave him a Lamborghini. What is that, a Lamborghini? I don't even know what kind of car that was.
That's his car that he's had, and
that's his? Okay. They did the commercial?
The commercial, yeah.
And they gave him the parking spot, excuse me. Yeah. I mean, you're right. The whole thing was a spectacle. And what's really interesting, there's so many interesting things. Look, Luka was amazing. Don't get me wrong. He was amazing. Triple-double. We just talked about it. He was pressing. I mean, he wanted it so badly. He couldn't buy a three-point shot, and one of the two that he actually hit got wiped off, and it was an amazing shot. And so he's going to be even better when he goes to Dallas, which I think is in April. I mean, it was a spectacle, and Luka was great, but he was also, this is the first time he sort of went through these emotions, and he pressed, and he still played amazing.
He pressed and he still played amazing in the first half, Bill. Because they had that three where he shot daggers at the bench. They wiped it off the board in the break.
That's awesome.
And I thought, like, I felt like when I was watching him just by the eye test, I thought he was okay. He was fine in the first half. Like, he looks like he's pressing a little bit. I don't know that he's playing his best basketball. Then I looked at the box score and he almost had a triple-double in the first half. And I was like, what? Like that
12, 7, and 7, right?
Yeah, that's the greatness of Luka, where even when he's playing like kind of half speed, still knocking the rust off, although, he was amazing against the Nuggets the other night when they held the Nuggets to just 100 points and they just blew them off their own floor. But like, we still haven't seen full bore Luka yet, like where it's just like every game where he's just crushing dudes. And tonight, in a game where he obviously wanted it, when he wasn't maybe as sharp as he would have liked, he was still incredibly dominant, and the Lakers looked really good.
12-12, 7-2, and 2.
Yeah.
The last two are obviously blocks and steals. Can I throw and one? And he got a technical foul.
Oh, the technical was fantastic. The technical was fantastic. First quarter, he draws a technical for complaining about not getting a foul call.
He did get fouled.
And he absolutely got fouled on that. But as I was mentioning on social media, how amazing would it have been and hilarious if Luka had gotten run from this game?
The only thing I remember from one of the two Billy Crystal movies that's a rom-com is where Billy Crystal's an NBA ref and he kicks Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I think, out of his farewell game. And that's what was going through my mind. It was got a second tee. Yeah. Yeah.
Basketball wise, for the Lakers, we see these two guys together, and it obviously works. And you and I had some concerns about, would LeBron be deferential? Would Luka be able to fit in? I think this is so far, the early returns for me are that this really works because these guys are so smart on the basketball court. And maybe there was even too much deferring between them to start in the first couple of games when they were trying to figure out how to play together. But their basketball IQs are going to fit together. They already do. But as they go forward here and figure this out, it feels like this is going to be a really nice marriage where it's they're just so smart at basketball and it's just going to work.
It's a really good point. I think it's the most important short-term reality for the Lakers. We've talked about this, and it's easy to say if you're LeBron, he said this before, he's going to defer and do the right things. But there's an ego and a muscle memory of competitiveness there you have to overcome. And I know I'm playing armchair psychologist, but after the last couple of games and today in particular, the way that Luka played and carried the team is strong, but was the engine for the first three quarters, and how LeBron was able to kind of preserve himself. He got all of these easy buckets from Luka, which, as you noted, and we talked about in HQ, is going to be a new thing. The way that he played in the fourth quarter, I'm a believer now that LeBron's going to be capable, because he's so smart, to say, all right, this isn't PR. This isn't a long-term play to build Luka's confidence. When I defer to Luka, when I let the team, the offense, the game run through him, my life is easier. I have more energy. I'm great in the fourth quarter. I can sort of be that guy that takes over times, and it works. He's got proof of life here. So again, another reason I'm so bullish is I think it's not easy for a guy like LeBron to defer, but if you defer and you have outcomes like this and you have individual performances, you're LeBron, you play like you did in the fourth quarter because of it, I'm a much bigger believer he can go that route than I was even 4 hours ago.
I totally am too. And I think he is. I mean, any questions about if they weren't winning, then all of a sudden there might be some grumbling, or maybe I'm not sure about it, or it's still my team. I'm still LeBron. You're coming in. It'll be your team.
I have to take over.
Eventually it'll be your team, but right now it's still my team.
Yep.
They're playing so well, the Lakers are, and they're winning basketball games. Bill, they've won 3 in a row, 9 of 10, 13 of 16. I mentioned this on HQ. This goes to our guy, Eric Casilius. I was on with him a little bit earlier today. He brought this up. And I was like, wait, what? Is that right? It's right. Since January 15, the best record in the NBA is the Los Angeles Lakers. By the way, in February, over that period, when we had some concerns about defensively, what would this team look like? Because Luka isn't exactly a defensive stalwart. And now you don't have Anthony Davis. In February, the third best defensive rating in the NBA is the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a legitimate basketball team now. They are a game and a half back of the Grizzlies for second place. I mean, this is a good team right now.
And by the way, this guy's doesn't deserve his own segment. Can we just Dorian Finney-Smith as a component of this too is such a nice. All of the sort of complementary pieces feel like they work now. Even Jackson Hayes looks. Do we owe him an apology? We have made fun of him a lot for being I think we've used air quotes for him as a 5, and he looks great. You're right. This Lakers team is so good, and it is very reasonable. It's very reasonable to think that they can be the 2 seed. And if you're the 2 seed in the West and you avoid the Thunder until the conference finals, and you're this version of the Lakers that we've seen, I know it's early, but 2 or 3.
You want to be on that side. You want to be on that side.
And you have home court advantage until the conference finals, potentially. The Lakers as a conference finals team, for me, it's Thunder, and then it's a big drop, and then it's Denver, and then it's the Lakers. I think the Lakers are that high up in the pecking order.
Yeah, they're 2 games back of the Grizz / Nugs for that 2 and 3, because the Grizz and the Nugs are statistically tied, but then there's tiebreakers and whatever. They're right there. They have a chance to do this thing, which I didn't anticipate. We have for much of the season been going exactly what you just said: Oklahoma City and then Denver.
Yep. And
I didn't think that we'd get into a conversation where the Lakers were even in the level of the Grizzlies, and now I think are starting to pass the Grizzlies, especially after what they did to Denver the other night. We're going to take a quick break, and then on the other side, let's talk some more about where the Lakers really fall in the pecking order, the Western Conference competition. And we should also discuss the Mavericks, who are just absolutely decimated in the front court and gave the Lakers a real run tonight. And Kyrie looked fantastic. And maybe Nico Harrison really wanted them to win this game, and he's going to get killed for what he did. But maybe there is something a little there in Dallas. We'll discuss that on the other side. This is Beyond the Arc.
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. A 16 beats a 1 from sweet to elite to the Final Four.
All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. A reminder, you can get us wherever you get your favorite podcast. Please download, subscribe, leave a review, and then on Spotify, in the app, when you're in full screen mode, below the play button, you can leave us a comment or a question. All right, as we were discussing, Bill, the Western Conference, the odds are pretty heavily for Oklahoma City. Not surprising, even though they blew a massive lead last night against the Timberwolves. But these things happen sometimes. They probably shouldn't, but they do happen sometimes in the NBA. After that, it's the Nuggets, and then the Lakers have the shortest odds, third best odds, and then it's the Grizzlies. I really do think, yes, the Nuggets lost that game at home the other night. I'm still picking the Nuggets in that series because they've had the Lakers number over the last 2 years in the playoffs, and they have the best player in the NBA in Nikola Jokic. But Bill, it's starting to get closer.
Oh, it is. But are we not going to, what about the Rockets? I thought your Rockets were, are we not going to throw them in the courtesy?
I slipped back a little bit. They beat the Bucks tonight. But
that's true.
Yes, look, when you have the Lakers and you have two massive transcendent stars and closers, and also, by the way, I was thinking about this with Austin Reeves. They have 3 shot creators on that team, 3 legitimate shot creators, where you're just like, oh, here's 3 guys who no matter what personnel we have on the lineup, when Dorian Finney-Smith comes in, you mentioned him earlier as a defensive stopper, or Jared Vanderbilt, who's not exactly an offensive juggernaut, you could put all these other pieces around him, and those 3 guys are going to be able to generate shots for other people. And they were playing them frequently with each other, and they weren't getting in each other's way. The ball was moving. I really like the pieces that they have, that they can get buckets. However, Houston really doesn't have that, with apologies to my Houston Rockets team.
Just as human nature is such that you can take things for granted, right? I never saw the ocean until I was 20, and now you and I live near the ocean, and I catch myself being like, whatever. The same thing is true with some of Luka's skills, but seeing him now in a Lakers jersey has reminded me of what I should have never taken for granted in the first place. I'm just seeing it with a different perspective, a different vantage point. His court vision and the guys that he finds and the passes that he makes, it's to your point about creating shots for other guys. The way in which Luka Doncic makes life easier for everybody else, it's such a ceiling raiser. It's such a rising tide for that Lakers team, that Lakers offense. And you're right, Austin Reeves already a really good player. LeBron James obviously is LeBron James, but I keep getting just struck by the fact that Luka ends up in a corner with 2 guys on him, and then he does some pass that I can't even visualize, and the ball's in the hands of LeBron James. Or Jackson Hayes has an easy bucket for the 4th time. It's amazing.
Well, what about when he drove the lane and threw a no-look behind the back, behind the head pass for a wide-open three-pointer, where I am watching the game on TV and could barely see that angle, and he's just doing it in real life? That was remarkable. I mean, we talk about Luka magic. Incredible. That's exactly what people would think about when they think about that. What about with the Mavericks? Because I think, obviously people have been down on the Mavericks. They traded away Luka, is 25, about to be 26. No AD, although he's supposed to be back sooner rather than later. No Daniel Gafford, probably for the rest of the season, regular season. Derek Lively, same deal. Kyrie Irving was really good tonight, and they gave the Lakers until the end of the 4th quarter a real run. They're still stuck in that pack with the Clips, the Wolves, Golden State Warriors, the Kings, the Suns, that whole play-in pack. They're jockeying for position. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 5-5 over the last 10. They're just trying to tread water here, but maybe they can until Anthony Davis comes back, and then all of a sudden, I could maybe see it.
I think you're chasing that tennis ball. This is where we revert back to our proper personalities. You can be positive and see the glass half full, and I can pick up the glass and try to throw it on the ground and shatter it. So a couple things. One, yes, Kyrie was incredible. He was incredible defensively. I mean, he put that team on his back. Effort. He really did. So there's been all this talk about LeBron and Luka and a little bit of talk of AD, and I'm sure Kyrie looked around and said, hey, man, I'm pretty good too. He had his own chip on his shoulder. It was really fun to watch. That said, and he was great, inefficient, but really good from three-point line. Whatever, he was great. Dallas only scored, 99 points? It's almost as if they needed I don't know, let me think about this, a Luka Doncic, or I don't know, a healthy Anthony Davis. I mean, I hear you, but it's just, I don't know, maybe if you have Luka.
Well, so I was thinking, if Anthony Davis comes back and then you have another superstar on the court, and like, it's not just Kyrie, because what I was saying about the Lakers having 3 shot creators, the Mavs have 1.5, 1.25, whatever you want to classify Spencer Dinwiddie as. Like, you're asking Max Christie to play
spark
minutes. Klay Thompson just doesn't have what he used to have, although he did have
great fourth quarter.
Great fourth quarter, but he's not the Klay that we're used to seeing out there. PJ Washington is a really good piece, but he's not the guy that you're going to be like, PJ, we need you to go out there and grab a bunch of, unless they're playing Oklahoma City in the playoffs, PJ Washington is not your guy who's going to go crazy. All I'm saying is getting Anthony Davis back would do wonders for a team who could use help at both ends of the floor, and especially in the front court.
You're right. It's true. It's the same conversation, but they were a better team before, right? I mean, so congratulations. Maybe you can get AD back and you can be 70% at best of what you were last year when you made the NBA Finals. I hear you, and I don't want to criticize Kyrie because he was awesome and he was amazing, but is Kyrie going to carry you to an NBA Finals even if AD is playing at a pretty high number 2 level? I don't think he is.
I should probably contextualize this, because when I was thinking about the Mavs doing something, I definitely wasn't thinking about them getting back to the NBA Finals.
Let's make the playoffs.
Anthony Davis.
Win a playoff game.
I'm looking at them in the context of where they are right now, which is in that play-in grouping. That's super fair, because everybody from 5 up, I think we were talking about the Rockets. I think the Rockets are pretty safe in their position, but from 6 down, Clips, Wolves, Warriors, Kings, Suns, and Mavs. That is a dogfight. Let's do the who do you like better game? With Anthony Davis, do you like your Clippers, or do you like?
I can't take the Clips. You could ask me the Clips versus the Trailblazers, and I'm taking Portland. I'm just going to be consistent.
Poor Clippers.
I'll take Dallas,
the Wolves, who we've been talking about.
That's a tough one.
That is, they have been sneaky good recently, and then they just picked up that big win last night. Is it the Wolves without Julius Randle? Because that
was my question. You read my mind. Is it with or without Randle? Without Randle, I'll take the Wolves. If Randle has to play, I will take Dallas.
Warriors. I think I'm going Warriors. Yeah,
they won tonight. I didn't watch that game, but didn't they? Well, they played somebody bad.
I don't know. We were watching the Lakers game.
Yeah, I don't know. Charlotte.
I'll take the Mavs over the Kings and the Suns.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing: the Mavs are the best play-in team, but that is depressing.
Aside from the Warriors and the Wolves, I'd put them right there. Right? I mean,
yeah, you're right. Other than the Warriors.
So that's okay. It's not where you were last year, when you were an ascendant team after the All-Star break and you went on a crazy run after the trade deadline. But
can we be lucky enough to get Dallas to play the Lakers in the first round of the playoffs? Can Dallas get to I mean, yes.
What a series that would be.
In my veins. That's a 5-gamer, by the way. Even with Anthony Davis, 5-game series, Lakers. That's probably not right. Maybe
that would be absolutely unbelievable. Other things from tonight that I thought were interesting, just vibes wise, having not just Nico Harrison there, but also Mark Cuban decided to parachute in. And in the first game, when Luka finally put on a jersey, Lakers jersey, you had Dirk making the trip. All of a sudden, it's all these Dallas luminaries who are making this pilgrimage. And I know what it says about what people think about this trade, but man, the optics there for the Mavs are not great. It's great for the league, though. Fantastic for the league.
Amazing for the league. Let me ask you a question. I was on with Haley Sutton on HQ earlier today, and she's a Mavs fan. Yes, and she asked me what she could do. What I on live TV, she asked me what my advice to her was when she watched this game tonight. And I said that I gave her 3 bits of advice. One was to drink heavily, whatever her drink of choice
position.
Was. Right, fetal. But second, I don't remember. The third one I meant it was, I think you have a once in a lifetime get out of jail free card where you can go be a Lakers fan. Mark Cuban can't announce it, but he was there as a Luka fan, not as a Dallas Mavericks minority owner. So I'm asking you, if you're Haley or anybody else, are you allowed to just say, you know what? Screw you, Dallas Mavericks. I hate you now. I'm going to be a Lakers fan because I'm going to transfer with Luka. I think you can. I'm anti-bandwagon.
I have to ask my Mavs fan friends how they feel about that, because I would guess that, like a lot of people in the league, especially teams that are in the Western Conference, you're raised never to root for the Lakers.
Of course.
But your guy just went there, and your organization, you feel like there was some sort of betrayal, that they were traitors, and then shipped off your guy who you're going to have to watch for the next 10 years in a Lakers jersey. That would be so incredibly painful. Like I don't understand why they did it. I understand their reasoning, their stated reasoning that they're trying to get out from under it. There's no good reasoning for it. Although I forget, we talk about basketball all the time. I'm sure I talked about this with you, but 2 years ago was the window. They couldn't have done it, but 2 years ago was the window for the Sixers to trade Joel Embiid right after his season. And now look at it. Look at what's happening. I mean, he's 30 years old, going on 50, and may never be the guy who was scoring a point a minute a year ago. So, it's tough. I would just, if the Sixers had traded him at 25, I would have lost my mind.
It just hit me when I saw Cuban today. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what Mark's thinking, but my thought was, he's not there as a Mavs fan. And in his heart, he's not rooting for Dallas. He's rooting for Luka. No. And that, the byproduct is you're rooting for LA. But he's rooting for Luka.
After the trade, he did that panel with Bill Gates, where he did this like tortured analogy about, hey, Bill, after you left, if Steve Ballmer had done X, Y, and Z to Microsoft, and it was obvious comparison to Luka getting traded. So yeah, he's clearly not on board. And by the way, when he sold the team, he told everybody, and I guess was under the impression that he would still have control of basketball ops.
We all were.
Clearly not the case.
They lied to him. By the way, I don't know if it was, I think it was here. Maybe it was HQ. I remember saying to somebody, with no reporting, just that doesn't make sense. He's not going to be in charge. People don't spend $3.2 billion. Yeah, I mean, you used a great word earlier, betrayal, and that is true for Dallas fans writ large. It's really true for Mark Cuban. He built something, and they tore it to the ground.
Yeah, they really did. One more for you before we go. We were talking about, we mentioned it at the beginning of the show with JJ, and we mentioned it on HQ, but where are you now on JJ? Because on the one hand, you get Luka and like makes your gig so much easier. On the other hand, they were playing better basketball since like mid-January. Like, are you starting? Because you were JJ skeptical.
Yeah. I wasn't ready to anoint him the greatest basketball mind of all time, the way that he was ready to anoint himself that. I mean, he is he's confident guy. Yeah. I still find him, by the way, if we're just going to have this talk, unpleasant you're not Greg Popovich. And even Popovich's sort of in-game interviews I found obnoxious.
I was thinking about that tonight.
I don't like it.
Thinking about that tonight. And on the one hand, yeah, it doesn't come off great. It seems a little gruff. I think in those interviews that in that instance where he was talking, like he was frustrated with the team on the glass and that component, like he could be more gregarious and he could be more like TV JJ, but I think he was like, annoyed at his team in that.
I'm going to gently suggest, I love that theory. I'm going to gently suggest, having been to a lot of his sort of pre-game press conferences, there's a real, things are going well, right? Or like, hey, JJ, what time is it? I mean, I don't know, man. There's kind of so anyway, that has nothing to do with your answer. Yeah. It impacts my view. It doesn't have anything to do with basketball. I'm just trying to be honest about my own biases here. I was skeptical. I do find him a lot sometimes, but who cares? None of that matters. I don't know. I think jury is still out. You said it on HQ and here. You have Luka, you have LeBron. You should probably be doing pretty good things, but he is doing good things, and he was doing good things before Luka got there. So I would say it's trending in a direction that it's a really good hire.
It's trending in a good direction. I mean, whatever percentage you ascribe to JJ helping influence this thing, it's not going to matter, because at the end of the season, if they finish top 4, right? The expectations weren't top 4 for this Lakers team. They also got Luka. The vibes are so good. Everybody's just going to go, this thing is going great. Congrats to everybody, because I've mentioned this on the pod previously. They've only finished in the top 6 one time since 2012, 2013. Like right now, this is everything is positive for.
I had Tom Haberstroh, Tom, on the radio show, on my radio show yesterday, and he made a comment, and he was like, only kind of joking that Rob Pelinka should get a statue. And we had this sort of conversation about this.
Oh,
and it
you
just
probably
made me
fell
realize,
off your chair.
Oh man. He made it. The point that I think that I took away from it, I did fall off my chair. I actually hurt myself. Was it in some ways it doesn't matter, right? Bob Myers is a celebrated former GM who's going to get a big job at some point. Like the job, have we ever talked about this? The reporting I have, the job he always wanted was Philly. I was told whenever part of the reason he went to ESPN, he was going to be patient. Well, that job could be open in a year. Is Bob Myers' greatest job? I don't know. Should he be on ESPN as like the guru? Maybe, but it's hard to tell because of Steph Curry, but it doesn't matter. It's a distinction without a difference. It doesn't matter.
This is like when producer Aaron dogs on Steve Kerr, and I'm like, he's won 4 championships and a gold medal. And it's like, you might not like his in-game rotations, or maybe he plays too many guys, or his hockey shifts, but like he just won a ton. Like, I don't know what more you want to ask from this guy. So yeah, I mean, JJ, he's in the right spot at the right time. And by the way, this could have gone the other way, Bill. This could have been a disaster. Like,
yes,
we're like a month or 2 removed from you and I going, should LeBron maybe ask out of this thing? And now all of a sudden it's like, we're all in a great spot. We live in LA and the Lakers are good.
I was supposed to do this yesterday. I forgot. So I have a question on this for you. It's producer Aaron's emerging theory about GMs, and can apply to Rob Pelinka. So let's say for the moment, Rob Pelinka's grade over his entire tenure is a B-, right? He's a B-. If you were to rank him, he's a B- GM. It could be wrong, right? Okay. Is it better to be a GM who always gets B-, and therefore you have a B-, or who gets all kinds of Fs, but when it's the final, right? When it's like you pull an A out of your hat, out of the middle of nowhere. Because Rob Pelinka makes a lot of mistakes, but then he kind of like, Anthony Davis.
So you're basically on the other side. You're basically saying, would you rather be Rob Pelinka or Nico, right? Because Nico went to a finals and had an incredible run last year, and then everybody gave him an FF minus.
Nico's the kid that gets a B+ and then takes up like, I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons or some drug of choice and just drops out of school. I mean, that's the Nico comp.
Whatever happened to Nico? We haven't seen him in a very long time.
We haven't seen him. He's not here anymore.
I don't know, Rob. I don't know if Rob is lucky or good or some combination of both, but they won that bubble championship, and now all of a sudden they've risen from the ashes, and they've got Luka, and all is good in Lakerland. All right, that's going to do it for us today. We're going to be back at it on Thursday, live on CBS Sports Network at 1 p.m. Eastern. Come and join us over there. Should be a fun show. I'm sure we're going to have a lot more Luka, LeBron, Lakers talk, as well as whatever else is going on in the NBA. So come and join us over on the network. But for now, for our NBA insider, Bill Reiter, I'm John Gonzalez. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.